Did you see I got into a little internet speed contest with Casey Liss and Zach from 9 to 5 and other people. Then of course Bradley Chambers has to jump in at some point and say that he has 22 gigabytes down.
Yeah, I saw you all waving around your internet speeds.
I know. I felt responsible for that whole thread. It was kind of my fault, but Casey's out there, he's out there bragging about it. So I was like, oh well, look, Casey, you're not the only one. Although he was bragging about his upload speeds, which fiber does have good upload speeds. The one thing I can't get with cable is I can't get the upload speeds like that. My upload is only like 30 megabytes or something. 40.
Yeah, I only get 20, I think, or 30, and I pay for basically the best internet I can get.
Yeah.
And all I can get is 30 up.
You know what? They've been digging holes in my backyard. Oh, this is a good story that the listeners will appreciate. It's like I've been watching around my town as they get ready. They've been putting in fiber optic cable, and I kind of stalk these people because I'm probably like the only person in my town that sees these vans and these workmen running around town and gets really excited about it because I'm like, oh, look at that. They're putting conduit in the parkway, and I know what that's for. They're going to thread the fiber optic cable through that. I know exactly what this is. And, Googling the name of the companies on the side of the trucks to see what kind of work they do and realizing that that it's fiber.
Like running up to the front window to see the van go past.
Right. So this has been going on for, I don't know, maybe about a year in various parts of town, kind of relatively close to where I live, but not immediately in the immediate area. And then one day we get one of these flyers on the door that's like, hey, you're going to see some strange men in your backyard. We're going to start putting in fiber optic cable behind the house because there's like, between us and the next block, there's like a strip of land between the lots that is public right of way. So they can put, they put electricity in there and telephone and fiber and whatever else. And it's all, they can dig holes and stuff back there. It's back behind my garage, basically. And so I was like, all right, awesome. This is great. I can't wait. And so, it's the usual thing. It's AT&T and they have to have the guys come out and first they have to mark all the existing cables and things like the gas lines and the electrical lines and everything, so they don't hit those when they come out and actually put in the fiber. So there's a guy out there and he's figuring out where that is and he's spray painting the ground. And this is like in December. I'm thinking, what are you guys doing? I mean, this is like the worst possible time of year to do this. But for a while we had a pretty mild winter going until polar vortex and all that stuff. But so they marked the ground, and one day these guys come out and they start digging a hole. And I was like, oh, of course. They start digging a hole on a day I got to record. And I just know, that if someone is digging a hole near other wires, that at some point something bad is going to happen.
Oh, yeah, always.
Yes. And so, I'm downstairs working away and everything seems fine. And all of a sudden I hear the doorbell ring and I go, and there's this guy, he's just like covered in mud. Because they're doing this in December. He's dug like a 6-foot deep hole in my backyard, way in the back of the yard, and he's been standing down in this hole, and he's all muddy. And he said, "Do you have power?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Would you mind walking around your house and looking around because we just kind of sort of nicked the power line in the back, and we want to make sure that sometimes only part of the house goes out." So
wow.
So I walk all around the house, turning on light because I'm home by myself. So most of the lights are off. So I walk around the house, I turn things on, and everything was fine, which was cool. And he's like, "All right, great," But he didn't give me a lot of confidence in these guys because this is like the first day they showed up, right? And so they're in there, and mostly it's kind of entertaining because every now and then I would take a break from working, I'd go upstairs, I'd look out the back window, and there'd just be these guys standing there, mostly just looking down into the hole. Wondering about the hole, and you knew what was coming next, and it was they had to call the electrical company because the electric company had to come out and make sure that something terrible and awful wasn't going to happen because they had clipped this line. So these guys, the electric company finally shows up like 8:00 at night. They were in this hole with flashlights until like 11:00 at night after I'd gone to bed. You could hear voices in the backyard and see flashlights, and they were digging around back there. And since then, they never have come back because not long after that, it got incredibly cold here, and it snowed a bunch. And so now you can't see where the the markings for where the lines were, for where other lines run. And so I just have this terrible feeling that they're going to come back and they're going to do something and interrupt. They'll either clip my cable line that provides internet, or they'll clip the power line, or something. Something bad is going to happen. But if all works out as planned, eventually I'll have the option of AT&T fiber, which is probably a year away, but it'd be pretty nice. I mean, I'm on gigabit. I always forget which one it is.
One of them.
You would think. I mean, I do work on the internet, but I don't know.
What would I know? I've only got a computing degree. No idea.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's one of those things. It's the fast one, right? The one that goes at 1,000 and has a G.
Yeah, the whizzy one. Really, really, really fast.
Yeah, exactly. So I have that through cable, but the upload speeds aren't nearly what the download speeds are, which isn't really a problem for the most part. And I'm locked into a long-term contract with Comcast. That was the only way to do it that made it economical, because it can be they'll charge you a lot, which is also why I like AT&T doing this, because even if I don't use it, at least now Comcast has some competition for fast internet, and hopefully the prices won't skyrocket after my 2-year contract is up.
Yeah, I get the competition's kind of pretty bad across America, right? Like, this is what I always hear, that, people mostly just don't have a choice in what they can have.
No, you really don't most of the time. It's like, oh, well, sure you have choice. You have, satellite internet. It's like, yeah, right. That's like super slow, or DSL, or, for the most part, yeah, it's not great. We're fortunate because I live near Chicago, and that helps a lot, I think. And a lot of this fiber, it's interesting because outside, Chicago was a railway center in the United States, and there are railroad tracks that radiate out from Chicago in all directions. And one of the things they did in the 90s, when there was a huge telecom boom in the U.S., is they laid fiber optic cable along the train tracks. Because those,
that's smart.
Yeah, those are already public right-of-ways, right? You didn't have to buy anybody's land or ask permission or anything. Just had to get the railroad's permission. So they put in fiber, and that just radiates out in all directions from central Chicago into the suburbs, which means there's been fiber, probably dormant, within a mile of my house for, I don't know, 2 decades at this point. But now they're actually doing that last mile thing and actually hooking up the fiber right to running it right behind my house finally.
Yeah, no, that sounds, you sound pretty excited. I mean, you've already got better internet than I've got, but sure, you want faster, you want better.
Nothing makes me more excited than fast internet, Rob. That's probably a little bit of an exaggeration, but when you live, when your whole day is on the internet, having good internet is kind of a thing.
Oh yeah, totally.
All right, Rob, you have to remind me. Was it on Ruminate that I was complaining about hotel prices in San Jose?
I think so.
I think so.
I think it was. I can't remember if we actually did that on the show or if it was just pre-recording, but that's definitely a thing that we've discussed.
All right. Well, I want to say a very special hello to Debbie, because Debbie is my sister-in-law, and she apparently listens to Ruminate and heard me complaining about San Jose hotel prices, and she is putting me up for a trip I have coming up to San Francisco in about a month and a half. So that's nice. I won't have to have a hotel for that trip, which I really appreciate. But I was surprised she listens to Ruminate. I'm pretty sure I only complained about it here. Who knows? I think it was last time when we talked 3 weeks ago.
I think this is the first time I've sort of considered there's actually people listening, and maybe they're people that we know.
Well, see, that's the thing. In one weekend, not only did I find out that Debbie's listened to the show, but I found out that one of my cousins reads my articles on Mac Stories. I was like, oh, because I usually feel like I have to explain what Mac Stories is to regular people.
Sure.
I write on the internet. They're like, I think people wonder do you do lots of Facebook posts? It's like, no, like articles on a website. It's its own domain. It's not part of Facebook. But yeah, and so I got that all in one weekend, which was kind of funny.
Nice. So you've sorted out your hotel situation, which is good.
It is good. So yes, this is news. I don't think I've told you. I'm going to GDC.
The GDC is the game one?
Yeah, the Game Developer Conference.
Okay.
Yeah, end of March. I'm going on a press pass to cover it for Mac Stories. I'm pretty excited about it because
very cool.
I've always wanted to go out to this because it's it's the biggest game. It's the biggest conference. It's not like E3. E3 is more of a platform and consumer type show, I guess. Whereas this is really for the developers. I mean, it's like WWC, but for game developers. And there's a lot of stuff there that will be iOS and Mac focused, but I'm certainly not going to do just that because gaming on the Mac. We know what the gaming on the Mac and iOS is like. It's not always the best, but
no.
but I'm going out, gonna have access to the whole conference and see some sites, and I don't know. It's just something different. I've wanted to go for a few years now, and I contacted them, got a press pass. Didn't really expect it, to be honest. And so now I'm literally going out to that almost right before I head out to Ireland for a vacation. So I'm not going to be around a lot at the end of March. But
so when you asked them for a pass and you said, "Oh yeah, I write for a site called Mac Stories," and they went, "So you can't game on a Mac?" And just
no, I did half expect it. Like, oh, really? I wonder if I'm like the token Mac person coming to GDC. I mean, there's like one guy. It's like me and somebody from Touch Arcade.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, there's no, I didn't have to do that. I did have to, I had to give them my credentials and I had to basically pitch them on it. which was kind of funny.
That makes sense. I mean, I guess they probably get a lot of people who are trying to get press passes just to get in there.
Yeah, because it's
even if they're not reporting for someone.
Yeah, because it is like if it's a conference that costs like $2,500 or something. So I can see people wanting to try to find a way to get into it for free.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, it's big too. It's like tens of thousands of people, so it should be pretty interesting. I know a decent number of people in the gaming industry, but not a ton. So it'll be kind of like going to my first WWDC all over again, I think.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool. I mean, I watch the coverage and stuff like that every year when, because I see companies do announcements and there's demos and all sorts of sort of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It should be good. I'll be interested to see how it is for you.
Yeah, even though it's more developer focused, it'll still, I think, there's usually some fairly big news still coming out of GDC, whether it's kind of bigger industry news or specific games or demos, like you said, because there's a whole bunch of stuff going on related, not just talks about how to, I don't know, implement the latest shaders or whatever, but there's also expos related to games and showing off games and that sort of thing. So I don't know, we'll actually have coverage this year, which will be kind of fun. I mean, I think I'll probably at a minimum do almost like a diary of visiting GDC type of series of articles while I'm there.
Yeah, no, I look forward to it. And that kind of leads on nicely to the other thing, which somehow we've managed to do again.
Yes.
But in just under 2 hours, so probably about an hour when people are listening to this, or at least when it comes out. If you listen immediately, then, it's in about an hour. But Nintendo are doing another Direct, and it's in a couple of hours, which we've done. This must be the first, or I think it's like second or third time we've done this.
Yeah, I don't know how it is. They must
right before a Direct.
Yeah, they must just do them on Wednesdays, and I hadn't realized it until I saw this announced yesterday, and I thought, oh, did this happen to us just like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 months ago? And I'm pretty sure it did. It's 4 p.m. my time, so I guess 10 o'clock your time on the 13th of February. And I know there's a Fire Emblem announcement that they've already confirmed they're going to do. I did see on Twitter that the Animal Crossing website went down for 20 minutes. Oh, my God. Which,
oh man, people want Animal Crossing so bad.
They do. Somehow the site was down for 20 minutes, and it's funny. I enjoy it because the people do the same crazy stuff that we do with the Apple stuff. It's like, someone has a pingdom tracker on the Animal Crossing website, and they get an alert the moment it goes down, and they take a screenshot of it and they post it in the subreddit, and it's we do the same stuff.
It's exactly the same thing. It's just a different industry,
right?
Different stuff that's being announced, but
different group,
it's all exactly the same stuff,
right? Different group of crazy people, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it's supposed to be 35 minutes, starting at 4 p.m. my time. Be a nice break in my day. Watch that, and I wish we had something to talk about in terms of what was announced, but nothing's really leaked. So I guess next time we.
No, I mean, I think they've said, as you say, there's the Fire Emblem. They said they're going to talk about more.
I don't really care about that game.
I don't even know what it is. It's not for me. Yeah. I don't think
it's one of those Japanese RPG type games, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's not for me. But people seem to be excited about it. I guess they're going to probably show us a bit more of the new Yoshi game. Because I think that comes out in a couple of months.
Yeah, I think in that mid or late April, something like that, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's April 19th, if I remember right off the top of my head. But I'm looking forward to that game.
Yeah, me too. It kind of looks nice, nice, sort of relaxing, not too stressful to play it.
Yeah.
And then I think Nintendo said a couple of weeks ago that they've got a few more games that people are going to be really excited about that they haven't announced for 2019 yet. So, potentially they might at least mention one of those tonight. I mean, maybe they won't.
Well,
because it's Nintendo, they do whatever they want.
Yeah, one thing I saw actually on the Nintendo Soup website through Apple News, which is, you remember that game Unravel that was on PS4?
I do.
There's an Unravel 2 coming, and it's going to be on the Switch.
Unravel 2 is out, but I don't think it's on the Switch yet.
Oh, all right.
I think that's the actual story, because I'm pretty sure I've seen that on the PlayStation Store.
Oh, interesting. It shows how little I play PlayStation now.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm pretty sure number 2 is out, because I played the first one and really liked it.
Yeah, I did too. I didn't realize the second one was out, and it feels like a game that would be good to me on the Switch.
Yeah, I guess presumably the problem with that is they're quite a small studio, I think.
Yeah.
Because although they're funded by EA, I think they're a very small studio. So I guess their focus was probably PS4 and Xbox One and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, if that's coming to Switch, I might just wait and get it on Switch.
Yeah, it was listed on Amazon Italy for €30.
Okay. Yeah.
At some point yesterday or today, it showed up on the Italian Amazon site, and I don't know if it's still up there, but yeah, it was up there for pre-order.
Nice. I guess the other thing I'm pretty looking forward to on the Switch is Crash Team Racing, which was delayed.
Oh, right.
And then, I mean, it's not the kind of thing they're probably going to talk about at the Direct, but it just sort of reminded me. But it seemingly was delayed for the Switch for a couple of weeks, and all the pre-orders were cancelled and removed from Amazon and stuff. It now seems to be back on track.
Isn't there
which I'm kind of glad about.
Isn't there supposed to be a Mario Kart touring game that nobody knows any details about coming at some point too?
Yeah, that's got delayed. It was supposed to be spring. I think it's now fall.
So probably not going to see that then.
Yeah, maybe. Although I think they announced it was literally a week ago or something. They said they delayed it, so
right.
I'm guessing maybe it's not ready to be shown.
Yeah, I didn't realize it had been delayed that much. I thought maybe it was just a short delay. I wasn't really paying a lot of attention last week. But, all right. Well, we got that going for us.
Yeah, and I guess if you're listening after 10 o'clock on the 13th of February, you already know whether we're right or wrong.
Yeah, we don't have any other predictions. So are you gonna sign up for this Apple TV video service? Do you think the TV service? What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like between Netflix and Amazon Prime, obviously there's the exclusive shows, which I think is a given, but I can't see. Between those two services, it kind of gives me enough selection of sort of the non-exclusive content.
Right.
Movies and TV shows, stuff like that. So there's going to have to be something on Apple's service that really grabs me to make me want to spend another, whatever it's going to be, £10 a month or something, I guess. Because, I'm already paying for Prime and Netflix, and do I need another TV service? I probably don't.
Yeah, you
I could
probably
probably
don't.
live without it.
Probably no one does. I think that it is going to fill the role of like HBO now, right? So
Sure.
it's not something that you'd be able to replace Netflix, Amazon Prime, or Hulu with, because those all have deep catalogs of old shows and old movies as well as their own original content. Whereas, like HBO, you go to HBO now, and yeah, sure, they do have older movies, but they don't have anywhere near the catalog that Netflix has, for instance. And the main reason I think people go there is for the really big hit shows like Game of Thrones or Westworld or Silicon Valley or whatever it happens to be. And, I think that'll work, I think, short term, especially if they have some hits. Long term, though, I think a lot of people will jump in and out of HBO depending on what they're binge watching at the time, because there's not enough catalog there to keep them. Some people, of course, will stay because it's a subscription and people start subscriptions, forget about them, and they just keep paying even if they're not using it. So it'll have that benefit. All subscriptions are like that. But people who are managing that a little more closely, I suspect, at least in the near term, until Apple builds up a bigger catalog, I think people will be more prone to there'll be more churn, and people will be coming in and out of the service over time.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you mentioned, the kind of stuff HBO's got, and I think, Netflix the same with stuff like House of Cards, Orange is the New Black,
Right.
Those are their sort of two big shows when they first started doing their original content, and, now they've got stuff like Making a Murderer and all these other sort of original shows that everyone ends up talking about, and then you go, oh, I must watch that because everyone's talking about it, like that kind of thing. If Apple, I mean, they're spending a huge amount of money, and giving money to everybody to make stuff for them. I think if they can get, one of those shows or a couple of those shows that everybody really, really loves, yeah, I'll definitely sign up to watch it. Chances are I will probably just stay subscribed, at least for a few months, to see if there's other stuff that I want. But I can't see myself signing up until there's something that I specifically want to watch. I'm not just going to sign up just to have a browse through the catalogue and
Right.
have another service on my TV, because I really don't need that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we have more than enough content already between Hulu and Netflix and Amazon Prime. And we also right now are subscribing to HBO Now, and I could very well see dumping HBO and picking up the Apple thing. I'd be less likely, I think, to drop either Netflix or Hulu, which are where Netflix especially has really become it's become the default destination for video, I think, in our household.
Oh yeah, and I mean the same for us as well. If I'm like, oh, maybe I fancy watching a documentary,
Right.
I'm not searching the iTunes store, and I'm certainly not using the Prime Video app unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah, it's not great.
Whatever it is, a documentary or a movie, a TV show, whatever, I'll always go to Netflix first because their catalog is the best, and they have the best original stuff, but also like their back catalog. In the US, I think it's a little bit different, but their back catalogue, at least in the UK, is significantly better, both in size and quality, compared to something like Prime or presumably this Apple TV service, because they're going to have to do the same thing Netflix and Amazon do, where these deals are all country specific. So Apple's TV service might be amazing for you, but for us in the UK, it might be not that great.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting to see. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to shake out. I have to think that they are going to go with most of their shows in most countries all at once, just because I don't know. I feel like they're already years behind these other services. If they want to really make a splash, they need to have a wider audience than just rolling out in the U.S. and a couple other countries. So
yeah,
it's supposed to go pretty broad, I think, but we'll see. I mean, you're right; it's not necessarily always the same content from country to country either. Did you see that there's a rumor that Apple's working on a game service, a game subscription?
I did. I heard this somewhere.
Does this make any sense at all to you? I find it really bizarre.
I mean, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know how much truth there is behind this rumor, but it sounds really, really weird.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, most of the big games on the App Store now are free anyway.
Right.
Any of the, and when I say big, I mean the ones that are in the top grossing charts. And those are the ones that everyone's playing for the most part. So they're all free, so they wouldn't need to be part of the subscription service. So would something like, say, Monument Valley, for example, which is a paid game, or Monument Valley 2, like, are they going to want to be in a subscription service? Like, are they going to make more money that way, or are they still just going to want to do what they do now, which is charge, whatever they charge, $4.99 or something as a one-off, but, they get that big spike at the beginning, or are they going to want to sort of do this slow burn where potentially they might make more money, but in reality they won't? Like, I'm not convinced this is really a thing. Like, maybe somebody at Apple is discussing it.
I wonder whether
it's launching this.
I wonder whether it's an experiment to see if this would work for regular apps. But I have the same kind of questions you do. I mean, obviously the free-to-play stuff doesn't really work with this model, but maybe it's a way to promote the paid upfront games and find a way to make the cost of paid upfront games more palatable to subscribers. But I suppose what it ends up, I mean, if you're Monument Valley, do you get to sell your thing for $5 too if someone doesn't want to have a subscription? That's one question. I suppose yes. It feels like this is maybe like a Spotify model where you charge everybody $10 and then you split up the proceeds, the pot of money, based on how often everybody plays your game, which, that's created a lot of weird incentives in the music industry, because if you have shorter songs, you get more, you can, by definition, get more plays, and you get more plays, then you get more money. And what does that do to games? Does that push people to make games more addictive so people are in them for longer? Does it, I'm not really sure how all this plays out. And it just, Apple's just never been good at games, and I just can't see. This seems like a really hard problem to solve in a store that's already full of problems with games. I mean, I don't know how, I see people online doing things like, oh, there's a rumored gaming service, and oh, Fortnite now has MiFi controller support. Apple's serious about games finally. It's like, yeah, no, I don't think so. I'm not sure that those things are really indications of anything. It's like some harebrained rumor plus, yeah, Fortnite is better with a controller because the game was made for a controller.
Yeah, I'm not.
I mean,
and let's not even talk about controllers. Like we were chatting on Twitter about the fact that I found my Nimbus SteelSeries Apple TV, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, I've got one too. It's always out of batteries, and I always have to hunt for it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't used it since we started this show. Like, we started this, and it must have been the first couple of episodes when we both bought one.
Oh, yeah, that's a long time ago, Rob.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. And I found it the other day, and I sort of picked it up and thought it was an Xbox controller.
It looks a lot like an Xbox controller.
I was just like, what do I even do with this? I just put it back in the drawer.
I picked up an Xbox controller the other day and thought, oh, this is my SteelSeries. Like, no, that's an Xbox controller. But yeah, I did dig it out the other day because I wanted to try Fortnite with the controller. And it works really well. And they've actually implemented it in kind of a nice way because it gives you a little on-screen hints for what the buttons do.
Oh, okay.
Which is nice when you're just getting started. But I also realized that I just have no idea what I'm doing when I play Fortnite. I mean,
Oh, no, I tried to play it on the Switch when it came out, and I was just like this. I mean, I think we even spoke about it, but I was just like, this is so confusing. Like, this is not for me.
No. Yeah, it's super confusing. For old people like us.
Exactly, yeah. It's not for the olds.
No. It's for the kids.
Cool. Right, well, wow. We don't normally do this, but listeners wouldn't know this, but we don't normally hit everything in our show notes, because we normally skip around, but we actually did everything this week.
Yeah. Well done.
So, I don't know what kind of achievement that is, but we did it.
We did.
So, cool. Well, again, I don't even know what episode this is, and I never know, and I should really check before we record. It's number 80.
Oh, how about
Wow.
that? That's a big number.
There we go. Yeah, that's a good one. I like it.
We're on our way to 100.
We're doing well. Cool. So show notes, ruminatepodcast.com/80. And yeah, I guess we'll record in a couple of weeks.
All right.
Maybe
sounds
we'll
good.
see what happened in the Nintendo Direct.
All right. Very good. Talk to you soon.